Rain poured over the dusty platform, turning the dirt beneath the train tracks into mud. The last whistle of the evening train faded into the distance, and all that was left was the soft cry of a baby and a woman clutching him tight, her shawl soaked through. She stood there trembling, her hands white from the cold and fear. The note she had pinned to her chest was already blurring with rain, "Take care of her." That's all it said. No name, no destination, no past. The baby whimpered again, and she rocked him instinctively, though her own body swayed from exhaustion. She had nowhere to go. No one to turn to. The train that had brought her here was gone, and she had no idea what this small town even was called. From the shadows of the platform, a tall man stepped forward. His hat was pulled low, rain sliding off the brim. His long coat clung to his frame, dark and heavy. He didn't speak, just stood there, eyes watching her quietly. She froze, clutching the baby closer. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to stay. I'll move on soon, she whispered, though her voice cracked. He didn't answer. He just looked at the baby, then back at her, his jaw tightening as if weighing something deep inside. Finally, he took a slow step closer. "You got anywhere to go?" he asked, his voice rough, quiet, but steady. She shook her head. "No, sir. I was left here." The man glanced toward the empty tracks, then to the small bundle in her arms. "And the baby?" Her throat closed. "He's not mine, but he's all I have." He stared at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his eyes. Then he gestured toward a waiting wagon nearby. "You'll catch your death standing here. Come on." She hesitated. Trust wasn't something she could afford. But the cold and the baby's soft cries left her no choice. Slowly, she followed. The ride was silent, save for the creak of the wagon wheels and the storm's hum. She sat huddled, trying to keep the baby warm. When they reached a ranch, a lonely stretch of land framed by fences and fields, she thought perhaps she'd walked into another man's mercy or madness. He led her to the porch, opening the door to a warm light inside. A fire burned in the hearth. The air smelled of coffee and wood smoke. "You can dry off by the fire," he said. She nodded timidly, stepping in. Her shoes left wet prints on the wooden floor. He poured her a mug of something warm and set it near her. She murmured a "thank you," her voice trembling. He crouched nearby, his gaze lingering on the baby now sleeping in her arms. "What's his name?" She swallowed. "I don't know." He didn't have one. The man's jaw tightened. "And you?" Her lips parted, then closed again. "I don't remember mine," she said softly. "Not anymore." For a long time, he didn't move. The firelight flickered between them, drawing out the quiet ache in both their faces. Then he spoke, gentle, certain. "You do now." She looked up, confused. He reached for a small Bible resting on the mantel. Inside the cover, written in faded ink, was a single word, Clara. "My ma's name," he said simply. She had a kind heart. Seems fitting. Her eyes stung. No one had given her a name in years. To be called something, anything, felt like being seen again. "Clara," she whispered, testing the sound. He nodded once. "Clara it is." The baby stirred in her arms. The man leaned closer, his rough hand brushing over the child's tiny fingers. "We'll call him Sam." Strong name. Tears slipped down her cheeks, uninvited. "You don't even know me," she said. "Don't need to," he replied quietly. "Just know you're both staying." From that night on, she worked alongside him, feeding the animals, mending fences, cooking when she could. He rarely spoke, but when he did, his words were careful, steady. Like he meant every one. Days turned into weeks. She learned his name was Eli, a man who had buried his wife years ago and stopped speaking more than needed since. There was grief in his silence, but kindness in his eyes. Clara often caught him watching Sam, a faint smile pulling at his lips when he thought she wasn't looking. Sometimes, he'd build small wooden toys and leave them on the porch, never saying a word. One night, she found him sitting by the fire, staring into the flames. She hesitated before asking, "Why'd you help me that night?" He didn't look up. "'Cause once, I watched someone walk away with my child, and I couldn't stop her. Guess I figured I owed it to someone else not to look away again." Her heart ached. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Thank you, Eli." He looked at her then, eyes soft but guarded. "Ain't no need for thanks, Clara. Just keep living. That's thanks enough." The years that followed softened the edges of their pain. Sam grew into a strong, smiling boy who called Eli Pa without thinking twice. And Clara, she learned to smile again, too, her laughter echoing in a home that had once been too quiet. She often thought back to that night at the train station, the rain, the fear, the emptiness, and how one silent cowboy changed everything with 4 simple words.